that goes above and beyond to value you and your family. Apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
We interrupt this commercial break for an important story.
There once was a man from Nebraska who went searching for food in Alaska. When his stomach was rumbling while laying in bed, he could think of only one option, Führer's cheese spread. So he left it once and drove day and night to return back home for cheese spread delight. Now his stomach is full and the voice in his head tells him no more vacations without Führer's cheese spread. Find yours today at most local grocers.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2. Attention all Wings fans, Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays, and on Tuesdays enjoy 40% off boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.39 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Wings and Rings today, 68th and O, or in Williamsburg Village.
Life changes, and sometimes that means changing where you call home. Whether you're downsizing, growing your family, relocating, or facing tough times, you shouldn't navigate it alone. I'm Laura Bonta-Bush with Woods Rose Realty, and I'm here to guide you with all your real estate needs. As wife of football coach Bill Bush, I understand the importance of teamwork and making sure you are supported every step of the way with honesty, integrity, and compassion. If you're looking for a game plan to buy or sell your home, text or call me at 402-525-0843. That's 402-525-0843.
Attorney CPA Joe Cordell.
Hopefully you and I agree that you should do everything you can to save your marriage. Divorce is hard, expensive, and its outcome is usually not all you hope for. However, when doing everything has failed, when divorce remains as your last option, consider Cordell & Cordell as your first choice to help you through the divorce process to a better place on the other side. We've been a partner men can count on for more than 30 years. Let us be that partner for you.
The attorneys at Cordell & Cordell work to help men maximize their role in their children's lives. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Lincoln area attorneys, a partner men can count on. 402-858-3220. That's 402-858-3220. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com. Office in downtown Lincoln. 1221 N Street, Suite 801, Lincoln, Nebraska 68508.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next opportunity? Nebco is hiring. They're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. They offer competitive wages, great benefits, service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Apply today at nebco.com. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for the Nebco shop. Learn more at nebco.com. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at nebco.com.
MHC isn't new, just a new name. Moe's Moving is now Moe's Home and Commercial. Whether moving across town or across the state, MHC Moving has you covered. Specializing in home, apartment, assisted, and independent living moves. MHC can also handle your commercial moves as well. There's never fees on trucks, stairs, elevators, long carry, and last-minute booking, and no trip or fuel charges. Also no upcharge on weekends, and they do offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome, everyone, to Ticket Weeknights. It's Tristan Gomez here with Harrison Arens. You can check us out on Facebook, the Ticket app, and Twitter. You can text in at 402-464-8685 if you want to join in. So, Harrison, I want to ask.
Real quick, fade that music down just a little bit on that Adobe slider. There we go. Perfect.
So, let's get into it. Harrison, I feel like as if anyone hasn't talked about it enough, Scott Frost talking about Nebraska again, Big 12 Media Days. In an interview, Nebraska gets brought up and he says, don't take the wrong job. Speaks about how he didn't really want to leave UCF. He only wanted to go to a national title contender and just felt like he had to be here. What are your thoughts on the situation?
I always try to give the speaker on those quotes a little bit of benefit of the doubt there, whether it's a slip of the word, but then it becomes like a slip of a sentence, and then it's a couple of a slip of a paragraph is pretty hard to defend, is where I'm at with Scott Frost. And, I'm willing to say there's a possibility he didn't mean for it to come out that way, but it just in no world does that need to be said. I can think of a million different quotes he could have said, when posed that question. Things didn't work at the University of Nebraska, but I learned a lot there, and I hope to take what I've learned here and implement it here at UCF. I mean, literally anything else.
Yeah.
To constantly talk about Nebraska like it was a bad breakup is bizarre to me. And then the deflection of accountability is just absurd. I mean, what was his record there? I mean, how many wins did he get? 9?
9, yeah.
9 wins.
I think his winning percentage was .380. So,
okay, so second, I believe the second worst record in all of Husker football history. You got a 7-year contract. You came here open arms. Fan base was ready to embrace you and defend you at every corner. Trev Alberts, your guy, your teammate, is the AD. Everything was set up for you to succeed. So, is there some challenges that happened? Of course, COVID, that messed up a ton of programs. And I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt for that. But there was way too many things that were for him when he got to the University of Nebraska. And to say that he felt, I believe it might be paraphrasing a little bit here, but he felt tugged there, like there was some pressure. What is that pressure? Who was some of the voices that were trying to get Scott Frost back to Nebraska? Well, Tom Osborne was one. So is Tom Osborne? Are we blaming Tom Osborne here? Like, that just sounds insane because the comment was insane. Yeah. So again, like, I'm not saying he absolutely meant it with tons of spite, but you start, every time you talk about Nebraska, you only got negative things to say. It's like, it becomes hard to say anything differently. I mean, what are your thoughts? Maybe I'm just too emotional about it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think it gets to a point where it's just like, why are there still negative thoughts? Like, I think especially when he had his stint with the Rams as well. So he was just with the Rams and now back at UCF. He has new things. He has, he's left. He's not like he's just been sitting around. He's still been coaching. And so at this point, I'm just thinking, why is it still the topic? Or like, who is he still frustrated with that he feels like he has to continue to be negative about it? And I'm not sure if you saw the interview with Stephon Diggs when he went to Houston from Buffalo. And I think all the reporters were like, what's different about Houston? What do you like about here that you don't like about Buffalo? And he was like, I'm not going to talk bad about my old girlfriend to make my new girlfriend feel better.
Exactly.
And so I think at that point is Scott Frost just trying to hype up the UCF fans to let them know, like, this is the place I want to be. Nebraska's terrible. I should have never gone there. I missed you guys. Or is it still just kind of some, thing he has against Nebraska and why he...
That's the weird part, right? Like, does he actually have a thing against Nebraska at this point? Like, maybe. And if you want to go with the side of hyping up UCF, like, you can still totally do that without constantly turning around and spitting on the university. Now, like I said, I mean, you could not find a university that was more open arms than the University of Nebraska. And There's no amount of quote unquote, oh, I felt pressured. I was tugged there. I didn't really want to go there. It's like you signed for probably left with about 36 million.
Yeah.
Did you trip and sign the contract? Like, what do you mean you felt tugged and forced? No one forced you to sign the contract. And would it have been a huge disappointment if he didn't? Yeah, I think Nebraska fans would be disappointed. But if he would just put out, like, I have something here, I think fans would understand if he didn't want to leave UCF, even if the alma mater was there. Now, fans would be disappointed, but he never had to come here. I mean, to me, that's just like such a childish answer. If you are an adult at that point in time, like, no one is forcing you anywhere. People might have opinions.
Yeah.
Like, are you a grown man or are you a kid, though? You're really worried about what everyone else thinks? You just went undefeated with UCF and you beat Auburn. If you want to stay there, there's not a lot of people that are going to be like, oh, this guy is, he just hates Nebraska. It would have been fine. It would have been disappointing for us. But yeah, I mean, I apologize to rant on it so much, but it is incredibly frustrating to see his PR. It's just over and over again. Doesn't do a great job up there. And that's always kind of been a problem. And, even if you're the UCF AD, you're not happy with those comments. I mean, that's just a ton of negative attention on your university. And maybe some UCF fans like it. But this isn't just Nebraska talking about it. I mean, you go on any of the college football threads on social media, whether it's Reddit, Twitter, even Instagram, you see a lot of people outside of Nebraska and UCF talking about those comments and how bizarre they were. So yeah, his PR training needs some work. And I'm sure he probably had a conversation about it not too far after. And he's lucky that it was a little bit of a sidebar interview. And I don't know anyone that actually caught the full audio of it because I haven't heard the audio played yet. And that won't do him any favors. But yeah, is there any world to you that you think, was just a slip of the tongue and he just unfortunately used Nebraska in a negative way again?
I don't think so. I think maybe he's sick of people bringing it up to Nebraska. I think just because that was the low point of his career.
There's a reason we bring it up. I mean, it's a worthy question.
Exactly. And I think the tough part is, like you said, he had everything going for him. Like when he got here, open arms, the fans wanted him. Like when that job opened, Scott Frost was the guy. Like I don't think there were many Nebraska fans that were looking elsewhere. It was like, we got to get him back. We got to get our guy. So it's not like he got forced to Nebraska where no one wanted him here. Like everyone wanted him here. And if it went well, I think it'd be a totally different conversation. He'd be saying this is the greatest place on earth. Lincoln, Nebraska is where it's at. But that's not the case. And so I think he realized that he did have a great opportunity here. It didn't work out. And so when it gets brought up, maybe he's just frustrated. He's like, we got to stop talking about this. But if you want to stop talking about it, then kind of like push it to the side. Don't say something negative about somewhere that really wanted you to be there.
Yeah. And that's just like for anything. Like, why burn bridges if you don't have to? And you see it in the NBA, trades as well. You hear players, they'll make comments. It's like, there's no reason to burn bridges unless it was really, truly that bad. And and again, these are just rumors. I don't know if any of it's true, but all the possible bad stuff that could have happened, like a lot of it didn't sound like it was coming from the University of Nebraska AD. Like Trev Alberts wasn't intentionally making things hard. Like nobody was making things hard for you intentionally. You just had to win games, and you started off going 0-6. So you could argue a really hard thing to pick up after Mike Riley, but you came here and you left it worse off than anybody that is alive in my generation has ever seen it. And that is just insane to make those comments. So no, I'm not. Scott Frost, I was rooting for him at UCF. Like, I'm not really rooting for him anymore. I'm not going to hope the players do bad, but like for Scott Frost himself, like I was actually looking forward. And I think most fans were. When Scott Frost left, were you hoping he did well when you heard the news that UCF, he's going to be coaching?
Yeah, I think my thought was, didn't work out here. Not like I want the rest of his career just to be absolutely awful. And so wherever he ends up or whatever's next, hopefully it works out. And I mean, that's kind of, I think, what a lot of Nebraska fans, thought was until now.
Yeah, and that's the crazy part is, I thought for how bad you could have left this place, you still got kind words on the way out the door. You go to a lot of other places, like it's not going to be like that at all. Your job just constantly going to be dogged on. As soon as you get that new job, they're going to tune in and just hope you fail. And obviously he's got a more tie because, he's in this weird position now where deserves to be a memorable player and deserves to be one of the most forgettable coaches. Like that is one of the most unique positions you can ever find yourself in, being in the sports world. Is phenomenal player, worst coach to touch the program. You blessed it and cursed it in 2 chapters of his career. So that being said, that's all I got on Frost. The more I think about the Scott Frost comments, like, it doesn't upset me so much, like makes me mad. It's more just idiotic. Like, that's the part that I get ranty about, is like, I cannot understand any logical or critical thinking that those are the words he chose.
Yeah, 100%. Frustrating out of Scott Frost at Big 12 Media Days, but Big 10 Media Days coming up July 22nd. What do you want to hear from the guys from Nebraska going? So we got offensive lineman Henry Latovsky, Dylan Raiola, and Deshaun Singleton. What do you want to hear from those guys going into this season?
This gets harder and harder for me every year, because I really just want the guys to be positive. I'm so much to the point where anything they say about, if they're like, practices are incredible, everything's super competitive, I'm gonna like hearing that. Like, don't get me wrong. It's really things I just don't want to hear. It's like uncertainty, or lack of leadership, or just bad presses. This is, to me, just become, let me learn about the guys and the culture a little bit. Like, what are you guys really harping on? So is there anything in particular that I want to hear? Not necessarily. I just don't want to hear like certain things that are going to make me panic. And during the Big Ten Media Days, I think it's really hard to get bad press because it's a pure optimism. Nothing's happened yet. There's nothing to critique yet. Now, and then the coaches as well. Like, I feel great about Matt Rule being the speaker for Nebraska, in obvious reasons. We saw it last year with Deshaun Foster for UCLA. Really awkward, pointing out that UCLA is in LA and also USC is also in LA.
Yeah.
Groundbreaking. Thank you, Deshaun Foster. And it was funny. To give him credit, he made some t-shirts the next day to make light of it. So that kind of saved it. But yeah, there's not a lot of whole bad things. It's just a time, I think, to generally be excited. What I'm actually more excited in is hearing from some of the other schools. I like hearing about the coaches a lot more, because players today are also getting really good at being PR trained. They're not going to leak anything, maybe. But yeah, maybe just some good sidebar interviews where they have that media row where it's not necessarily in front of the podium, because then you get some more of the stories. So I guess I'll be looking forward to just kind of seeing, how are the guys feeling? I think that's probably the biggest thing you can pull away out of media days. Like, what is the attitude right now of these guys? Do you see a lot of confidence? Are they choosing their words really carefully, like almost they're not sure? Or are they just, understanding that Nebraska football has been in a place where we don't want to hear it until we see it on a Saturday? What would you be looking forward to for the Big Ten Media Days?
Yeah, I think I want to keep it simple. I think I just want to hear that they've been putting in the work. I don't want to hear that it's been the best offseason we've ever had.
Yeah.
Matt Rule's like, this is the greatest group of guys we've ever had. Like, we're going to go and we're just going to go dominate. Because I think we've had that before as Nebraska fans. We've listened to that many times, or the amount of games in the post-game interview we'll hear, we had a great practice going.
And that's the Frost all the way back full circle.
Exactly. And I think people don't want to hear that anymore. I think it just want to hear we're getting the work in and we're ready to have success. I think the number one thing we've talked about too is how there were guys under Frost who they'd lose a game, or going into the season, they had all the confidence in the world. They're like, we're not going to lose. We're going to go undefeated. And then they start losing a few, and it's like the morale just plummets. And so I'm curious how this team, I think they have the opportunity to go 3-0 to start in their non-conference. But after that, once they get into the Big Ten regular season, if there are a few, games that they don't win or tough looks, how are they going to respond there? Because I think that's more important than how they're feeling, right now in July. I think it's when, things do go wrong, how are they going to respond?
Yeah, and that's been the problem for Nebraska football a lot, is when do things go wrong? When we get to the Big Ten play and it's, if we're getting to December, November's been pretty tough for us. And then you just start putting games together. It even happened this last year with Dylan Raiola. He went on that stretch where he was throwing a pick every game, and it was definitely not all on him. The offense was struggling. They couldn't find their identity there. The defense was doing good, but then you're also having special teams woes. So you're not able to pin teams back. They're in fact pinning you back. So you get some tough starts on your first downs, and you got a true freshman quarterback. So there was a lot of problems, within that offense. But yeah, let me ask you this real quick, because this is the big question for Rule in year 3. Baylor, Temple, year 3, you got 10 wins. Like, is that a realistic expectation for Nebraska football in the Big Ten?
I think so. I think looking at their schedule, we've looked at their schedule a few times, and I think they're. I mean, there's Michigan on there. That's a tough one. USC back to back. Those are going to be two that hopefully we can get at least one of those. And I think the one score losses have just killed Nebraska. It seems like for the last 5 years.
I think Rule's even 2-6
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
And one score.
Yeah. And so I think if Rule can just flip the script on that, and they can find a way to, win maybe 80% of those one score games, then I think 10 wins is easily doable. I think it's the issue when, we get to the fourth quarter and we have all this momentum, and then it seems like there's that one big turnover or that one big play for the other team that just, digs us a hole and we can't get out of it. So I think 10 wins is 100% doable. I think it's just going to come down to the fourth quarter in those one score games. And I think in the past, coaching has been an issue in those fourth quarters. I mean, the turnovers happen; those can be on the players, but I think it's the coaching, setting those guys up for success in the fourth quarter. And I think Matt Rule understands that, and I think he has the confidence in his guys and instilled the confidence in them to go out and just, hopefully dominate that fourth.
Yeah, they'll need it. It's crazy to think that, you get a couple one score games that feel like we're there. Like, well, I shouldn't say that. We feel so much better. And again, it shows you how long that trend of Nebraska just not being able to win a single one score game over the course of seasons. And you get a couple, and you just get a couple of those, you finally get to go bowling and you break that streak. But there's a lot. I mean, man, there's a lot of pressure. You talking about how does this team respond if they do, drop a very important game, and the most important game is the first one, which is Cincinnati. Like that's, Nebraska. I imagine heading it into it will likely be a 7-point favorite, but that head coach for Cincinnati is on thin ice.
Yeah,
like that is a team that understands this is a huge opportunity. I mean, he's cornered in a wall. If this season doesn't go well, that head coach, knock on wood for him, but he's fired. Yeah. He's not going to make it through if they have another disastrous season, in my mind. I think they'll just go ahead and move on. So this game for him, he's thinking the same thing with the Cincinnati Bearcats. Like, I need to have a good start. If I don't have a great start, I mean, this is, who knows how my guys are going to handle it. So in Cincinnati right now, definitely needs it more, because I'd imagine in their locker room, they can kind of feel it. Talking to some of the former athletes, like, I don't obviously want to talk to them on air about it, but you hear some of those conversations. It's like, it's an awkward feeling when, even if it's a coach you like, that because of the results on the field, you feel almost responsible and they're going to get fired. Like, you get, in a weird way, you feel like you got your coach fired. Even though it's not a realistic way to look at it, it makes sense how athletes can feel that way. And sometimes the athletes are happy, and sometimes, they do got faith in the coach. And a lot of times it's a pretty split room. And that's the things you heard about some of these previous coaches at Nebraska, is like, some people are happy, some people were not happy. Who recruited who? Was the head coach close in that recruiting? Is that a big reason? So Cincinnati is going to be all out. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see trick plays in game one for Cincinnati if it's close enough. And because I think this is a must win for that program. Because if you can slap Nebraska, I know Nebraska isn't a juggernaut, but a much more respected Nebraska program than in years past. Now, if they lose to Cincinnati and then they lose to Michigan, and then I think it's Michigan State, and they drop those, then obviously that one's not going to look so great. But yeah, just don't even overlook Cincinnati. I do think 10 wins is a possibility, but that Cincinnati game is huge, and I just don't want to look past them, because a 7-point favorite is great, but you know what? That's a one-score game. We talk about one-score games all the time. If it's only a 7-point favorite, the odds of us winning in that one-score game are horrible statistically if you just look at the recent past.
Yeah.
So I would give it, 10 wins. Think of the tough losses. Iowa's on the schedule. I'm going to say we beat Iowa this year. Penn State, I'll give it to Michigan, and USC. I think that's 3 losses right there. But hey, flirting around 9 wins. I mean, that's anybody's going to take that. So, I'm in 7, the floor, 10's the ceiling. Yeah. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? I want to get yours and then throw it to break here.
No. I think 9 wins is 100% doable. Our issue in the past have been just kind of those sneaky, we'll lose to Purdue or Northwestern or an Illinois or something like that. Illinois is on the come up, but I think it's just those wins that if we can stack up and just build momentum, I think momentum is huge. We saw Indiana do it last year, because I think going into that game, the Nebraska-Indiana game, I kind of had confidence in Nebraska walking into Bloomington and just ending this kind of Cinderella story. Yeah. And it was the complete opposite. And so, and I think Indiana did that of just building momentum to a point where they just believed they were an unbelievable team. So I think Nebraska, if they can build a few wins up early, they'll be really successful this season.
Yeah, they need it. You need those wins to really start that culture. And I think that was the snake bite that Scott Frost constantly talked about. It's like, it's not so much as a snake bite, but I mean, you just got a culture that's used to losing. And when it gets close, you can feel like it. And to your point, Indiana was the complete opposite. They were used to losing, but they got that taste of wins and then another win. And then you start stringing those together. And football is a very, momentum, emotional based, even though the best players typically come out on top. You see those teams that maybe don't have as much talent, and a bunch of those guys from James Madison as well. So like on paper, no, they didn't have the speed and the strength that they compared to all the schools in the Big Ten should have, right? You got a bunch of James Madison guys in there, but they're used to winning.
Yeah.
And they never doubted it for a second in my mind. So even though it was Indiana, enough of those transfers were with Kurt Cignetti already. And they're like, no, we know how to win. Like, we're not going to psych ourselves out because we're playing stiffer competition. And Nebraska uniquely has been the opposite. We get lesser opponents and we get scared because we're like, we can't drop this one. Yeah. We get a tougher opponent like we always do. Like Ohio State has been the weirdest game because it's a game we're not supposed to win. Our players, they look looser. They're more relaxed. Like that culture of we must win this game isn't as strong. So I just feel like you get kind of some low pressure, ironically, and we seem to play better against the tougher opponents.
Yeah.
With that being said, though, we are up to a break here, though. We'll talk maybe a little bit more Husker football on the other side, and I do want to get some NBA as well. So don't go anywhere. Ticket Weeknights, Harrison Arens, Tristan Gomez. You guys can always join in, 402-464-5685. We'll talk to you on the other side.
MHC isn't new, just a new name. Mo's Moving is now Mo's Home and Commercial. Whether moving across town or across the state, MHC Moving has you covered, specializing in home, apartments, assisted, and independent living moves. MHC can also handle your commercial moves as well. There's never fees on trucks, stairs, elevators, long carry, and last-minute booking, and no trip or fuel charges. Also no upcharge on weekends, and they do offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
We interrupt this commercial break for an important story.
There once was a man from Nebraska who went searching for food in Alaska. When his stomach was rumbling while laying in bed, he could think of only one option, Führer's cheese spread. So he left it once and drove day and night to return back home for cheese spread delight. Now his stomach is full and the voice in his head tells him no more vacations without Führer's cheese spread. Find yours today at most local grocers.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2. Attention all Wings fans, Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays, and on Tuesdays enjoy 40% off boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.39 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Wings and Rings today, 68th and O, or in Williamsburg Village.
Life changes, and sometimes that means changing where you call home. Whether you're downsizing, growing your family, relocating, or facing tough times, you shouldn't navigate it alone. I'm Laura Bonta-Bush with Woods Bros Realty, and I'm here to guide you with all your real estate needs. As wife of football coach Bill Bush, I understand the importance of teamwork and making sure you are supported every step of the way with honesty, integrity, and compassion. If you're looking for a game plan to buy or sell your home, text or call me at 402-525-0843. That's 402-525-0843.
Attorney CPA Joe Cordell.
Hopefully you and I agree that you should do everything you can to save your marriage. Divorce is hard, expensive, and its outcome is usually not all you hope for. However, when doing everything has failed, when divorce remains as your last option, consider Cordell & Cordell as your first choice to help you through the divorce process to a better place on the other side. We've been a partner men can count on for more than 30 years. Let us be that partner for you.
The attorneys at Cordell & Cordell work to help men maximize their role in their children's lives. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Lincoln area attorneys, a partner men can count on. 402-858-3220. That's 402-858-3220. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com. Office in downtown Lincoln. 1221 N Street, Suite 801, Lincoln, Nebraska 68508.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next opportunity? Nebco is hiring. They're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. They offer competitive wages, great benefits, service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Apply today at nebco.com. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for the Nebco shop. Learn more at nebco.com. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply to.
Back to the Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back at the Ticket Weeknights. Harrison Arens, Tristan Gomez. You can text in at 402-464-5685 if you want to join in on the conversation. Staying with it on Nebraska football. Just a few things that we believe that Nebraska could maybe improve from last year. There were a few struggles, especially in the red zone. Nebraska was second to last in the Big Ten in red zone scoring efficiency.
You know who's dead last?
Northwestern.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to guess Purdue, but that makes sense
I think
too.
Purdue was third to last. So,
okay.
Not a group that you want to be with. And
No.
so I think that's one thing. What do you think is the issue, and how do you think Nebraska capitalizes once they get to the red zone?
Last year was disastrous. I think Satterfield just really struggled with the red zone for personnel more than anything else. There was also some of the I'm not a big fan, and you can make an argument for it, of like trying to hit the fade into the corner of the end zone. I think it's just a really tough throw. I think defenses are always ready for that one. That's an obvious place to go. And, you got a true freshman quarterback. I get it because you have the size there, but like at some point it just wasn't working, and we really kept trying it. It's like, we're not getting results. And then you also had the running back issue. Emmett Johnson, it was great, should have been the main back down the field. And then I like the idea of you use Dante Dowdle when you get into the red zone, because I think he's just a more powerful back. He doesn't break a ton of tackles, but that first one, he always falls forward. Yeah. The biggest compliment I could give him, he always fell forward. Did a phenomenal job about that. So if you're in a red zone situation, you need to pick up a few yards to keep it alive. Phenomenal. And then the obvious part is, can we make a field goal? That drowned us last year in the red zone efficiency. It's like when you're missing field goals, or you're going backwards to the point where it's not even possible and you have to punt it. Ton of issues there. And, Dylan Raiola's confidence midseason too, I think, was hurting. So again, that goes back to Satterfield calling some of those, I think, tougher throws when you get to the red zone. That his confidence wasn't there. I thought at times, even if it was the right play call by Satterfield, mentally he just wasn't seeing it or didn't trust himself to make that throw a little bit quicker. And, he just had tons of bad luck, because we were, I want to say, actually, explosive plays. Nebraska was actually pretty good. And a lot of that was, obviously you make some big throws from time to time, but Dylan Rail was really good in the wide receivers last year, good at getting pass interference flags. And we moved the ball a lot last year. We might have been the number one team in the Big Ten in terms of getting pass interference yards, because I can think of several plays where we hucked it down there, and you give credit for Dylan Rail. That's what you do. If they look like they're out of position, you put it on that right, whatever shoulder you need to make it so they're going to have to reach, grab, or do something to try to get after it. So you combine that, so you're moving the ball in big chunks, but we really never found any sort of consistent, we'll move the chains methodically. I can't, but there's very few games where we move the chains methodically that didn't require explosive plays. And even against bad teams, you think about Purdue, we weren't really moving it methodically. We got a pick six from John Bullock to swing it our way.
Yeah.
And that was late in the game. So can we have explosive plays? Absolutely. Was Satterfield good at drawing those up from time to time? Yeah, I'll give him credit. Not great methodically moving the ball. And whether that was, because you got true freshman quarterback with confidence issues, especially mid-season, or you're not calling the right plays for the personnel, which I think was a lot of the issue at the time. Yeah, it just becomes tough. You have a big explosive play, but so what? You haven't been able to move it anywhere else on the field. So that's kind of where I'm at. I think for those guys, it was just the consistency of, can we do a little bit of what Illinois has been doing all year, or a little bit of what Michigan does? And we just didn't really ever find it until Emmett Johnson got plugged into it. And that's why I think personnel was a big problem.
Yeah. I think personnel, I mean, that's something you can always look back on, wonder, did they have the guys? I don't think they really had the guys to, throw that back shoulder fade in the end zone. I don't think that was, a strong suit for Nebraska last year. And I think it just seemed like at all times, Nebraska was a very one-sided offense, whether they were forced to run the ball to hopefully, get a first down and 3 downs, or they felt like they had to air it out because the run game wasn't working. So I think, like you talked about Illinois spread it out. You didn't really, it was hard to expect exactly what they were going to do. They could air it out on first down. I think Nebraska got themselves into trouble where they would try to, throw it on first down and then it'd be incomplete. Then we're trying to run. We run for a yard. We're 3rd and 9. And so I think just trying to get those bigger chunk plays earlier in the drives is going to help them a lot. And then once they do get to the red zone, they have to capitalize.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think maybe if the red zone package just needs to expand a little bit, or they just have to understand how the other team does in the red zone, will help them way more than I think just going in there and almost just, hoping they can air it out to the end zone and that gets caught, or trying to run it, 3 times in a row and we get nowhere. And so I think just spreading it out a little bit and putting a little bit more pressure on the defense. Because I think at times we get to the red zone and it's, oh gosh, we got to score. We don't know if we're going to make the field goal.
Yeah.
So we got to get it in the end zone and put more pressure on us than put pressure on the defense who has their backs against the wall.
Yeah, we did that a lot with the defense. Shout out to those guys. They held on. That Rutgers game always sticks out like a sore thumb. Real chance we lost to Rutgers last year, but that defense, I mean, it was a goal line stop with multiple attempts because there's penalties on it too. And those guys, it was incredible. One of the best goal line stops. I think that was the year prior. The 2 years ago, they had one against Illinois too. But yeah, the defense constantly has had to be the team that's led. It's been a defensive first team, and that's got to start to shift a little bit. And again, to give Satterfield a little bit of credit here, like, it isn't all on him and just picking the wrong personnel. Like Dylan Raiola, you got a true freshman quarterback. Like, he's going to miss some things that he needs to do, and he's going to make just some minor mistakes. Do we really need to take sack right here? Do we really need to throw it out that early, or can you get like 3 yards and just slide? Like, I know it's 3 yards, but move the chains. Or, what you see all the time in the NFL, Mahomes isn't the quickest quarterback out there, but if you're going to give him the alley, I'll take 5 yards and run out. And then I only got to work for 5 the next one. Instead of Dylan Raiola, all right, now it's 3rd and 10 because they got nothing on the last one too. And that playbook just gets tougher and tougher and tougher. So the big part of him, and I'm not saying he needs to be running the ball. He's just got to take advantage of it when it's there. We saw that versus Ohio State. That was one of the longest run plays of the year. I believe at that point was Dylan Raiola scrambled late in the game when we really needed it. But Ohio State felt like we were in a position we're going to have to throw the ball because we're down, and Dylan Raiola just very smartly, there's a ton of space. Let me take it and run out of bounds. Save clock, and I got a first down easily. So I think a big part of him is, he's just not going to be a true freshman anymore. So I'm blanking on it. Not Satterfield. New offensive coordinator. Why am I blanking on it right now? Well, this isn't great. Satterfield. Dana Holgorsen. My goodness.
Yes, there we go.
Dana Holgorsen. He's going to get a lot of credit just for having a guy that's not a true freshman, but also he's got a lot of background that he knows how to do it right. Yeah. So I think the offense, even if Satterfield was running the show again, it would look better. But I will agree. I think Dana Holgorsen is going to take it to that next level because the offense was better immediately when he took over. And even though we lost that game to USC, I think that was the real first one we kind of got to see. It's like, okay, Emmett Johnson's the guy. They're using him a lot more out of the backfield as a receiver. And despite him being a quote unquote air raid guy, you actually saw that offense do what I was talking about, be more methodical. Take some risk, but we'll take 3 or 4 or 5 if you're going to give it to us.
Yeah, definitely. I think when we just talk about college quarterbacks in general, guys that have been very successful, they've either done it with their legs or they've had an unbelievable offensive line. And I can't say that Nebraska really had either of those last year. They gave up 28 sacks on the year, which is, over 2 a game. So going along with that, I think if Raiola can use his legs a little bit, when the pocket collapses or there is an opening, he just goes, all right, I'll take 5, where you don't have to hang in here or try to make an unbelievable throw. Because I think sometimes we've seen that with Nebraska quarterbacks in the past when they try to be a hero, make the big play.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Raiola, he's, a huge learning opportunity from last year. Getting in there as a true freshman, there aren't many true freshmen that can go in to a Power 4 conference team and lead them to a bowl game when they haven't been to a bowl game in a while. So that's extremely impressive. And so I think he's going to have a lot of success going in this year. His game management's going to be way better. And I think Holderson is going to do a great job of, understanding he almost has a veteran quarterback now or a guy that's played. And so he knows what he's getting out of him. And if Raiola can just, continue to make those big plays, but also reduce the sacks and maybe run a little bit more. I mean, even Joe Burrow was a guy who just aired it out to great receivers. But if he had the opportunity, he was running for it. He was getting maybe 5 yards or even a first down. So I think that's somewhere that Raiola can improve tremendously and would just open up the offense so much more.
Yeah, and he's got a good, I think, having the backup be Gramsted's actually kind of nice. Because he is the ultimate, I haven't really seen him play, but the ultimate game manager. Like, he's just going to make the right decision. He's going to be just acutely aware from everything I read of not forcing anything, no unnecessary turnovers, good ball security in the pocket, because Dillon had a little bit of problem with that too at times, a little too loose with it. And especially if you're hesitant to get rid of the ball, you got to know when that pressure is coming. And again, true freshman, you kind of saw that coming. It's going to take time. The amount of seconds you get in the pocket to high school, it's a big drop from college, and it's even crazier drop when you get to the NFL. So that's why, watching my guy, Caleb Williams for the Chicago Bears, also struggled with it as a rookie. I mean, you just get to that level of competition, that processing speed has to just get that much better. And we get true freshmen, you try to put them into that role. It's going to be a tough thing to do. But again, you got a whole summer with Dana Holgorsen. I think that was huge to already kind of establish him in a very unfortunate way. It actually turned out okay because Satterfield's still on staff, but you had to move on from OC. But we actually saw positive results, and we actually made the goal to go bowling. And then we got to keep him around for the entire summer. And now you got Satterfield over there with tight ends, which is great because they got a guy named Heinrich Harburg who, once again, making a transition. And then, of course, shout out Luke Lindenmeyer. He was on here yesterday as well. So you got a pretty good tight end room, and it's good to have a guy like Satterfield still on staff who can coach that room up, because I think it's going to be a huge strength. And, circle all the way back to strengths in the red zone. Who knows? We'll see if Dana Holgorsen gets creative. I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of sets where they just throw Harburg, regardless of how much involved he is or not, just to keep defenses on their toes. Because it's just when you see him out there, and a lot of it's going to depend on how he's used at the beginning of the season. Yeah. If he's out there frequently, then maybe teams won't bat an eye. But they're still going to have to pay attention to him because they know, okay, there's an element to him that they can dial up a lot of different unique trick plays if they really wanted to. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think the gadget plays will go up a little bit more with Dana Holgorsen. I'm not saying it's going to be a Warren situation with Harburg, like Warren was for Penn State, where they were using him for wide receiver, running back, lead blocker. I mean, he was just phenomenal. But they're definitely going to get Harburg in the mix in some unique plays. And again, I just think a little bit more creativity without going too far out of the box to keep teams off toes. And then when you need to, just be methodical about it. So the red zone, that's the final thing. Special teams and red zone offense, I think, for Nebraska. You fix those two, we're pretty close to Bo Pelini days of 9 wins every year.
Yeah, I agree. And I think going along with Dylan Raiola not being a true freshman anymore, I'm curious if that's why maybe we didn't see as much of, spread in and out, more, diversifying the offense a little bit, because it is a new quarterback. It is a freshman. It's a guy that is just trying to get his feet wet and learn as long as the season's going on. So I think from now on, I think Holgerson has the confidence, Raiola, to go out there and, expand the playbook a little bit, allow him to make plays, but he'll also give him opportunities to go elsewhere. He's not going to have to maybe do it with his legs like we want him to, but he's going to be able to spread it out. Because I think, we did get a few deep, balls and a few big chunk plays, but then it seemed like the drive ended.
Yeah.
And so I think the ability to kind of just, beat him down little by little, and then we air it out. And I think Dylan Raiola is going to absolutely love that. And I think that's going to be something that's going to be really fun to watch.
Yeah, and that's the really just the last thing. I shouldn't say last thing. Needs a few things, but most important thing for me right now is, can you just move the ball methodically? As great as Ohio State is, and pick whatever year you want, they always have a running back where at times they can move the ball methodically, even though with the amount of receivers they have, a lot of times they don't have to. But even again, you look at Alabama and their glory days with Nick Saban. If they didn't have to throw the ball, Nick Saban loved nothing more than running you over. And it was one of my favorite things about Alabama. I wasn't a fan because they're winners all the time. And I was like, it's just smart football. Don't get cute if you don't need to. So when you have opportunities to be methodical and just punish teams for not being able to stop the run, that pays dividends. It gives your quarterback a rest, puts him in less risk injuries. And then also you can set yourself up for those explosive plays. So with that being said, we'll throw it to break here. Don't go anywhere. We'll talk NBA 2K covers on a third and final segment. Some interesting selections. We'll talk about that next. Harrison Arens, Tristan Gomez. We'll talk to you on the other side.
Stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports is quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law and find out how we can help you get the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Call the trial attorneys you can trust. 877-42-LIBERTY.
Make bill paying a breeze with Text to Pay. LES texts you 1 week before your bill's due date. Just reply to the text to pay. It's that easy. Log into your account at les.com to sign up today.
Saturday. Eagle Raceway is open for a full season of dirt track racing action every Saturday night. Don't miss the epic battles on the high banks of Eagle Raceway each Saturday between the Nebraska Septic Sprint Cars, Nebraska Lottery Modifieds, Avid Realty Sport Mods, Valentino's Hobby Stocks, and A1 Iron Stock Cars. Let's go racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street. Check out the full schedule at eagleraceway.com.
This is James Harrell with NP Dodge Real Estate. When I became a licensed realtor, I wanted a brokerage that would help me grow in my new career. I found that in Lincoln First Realty. When Lincoln First was acquired by NP Dodge, the training and support I received only got better. I love knowing I have the power of the NP Dodge brand behind me. I would recommend NP Dodge to new agents looking to jumpstart their real estate career and to current agents who want to take their business to the next level.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
When opportunity knocks, you don't want to miss the call. Hamilton Business Technologies makes communication easy and efficient using customized technology, all while putting people first. Whether you're working from the office, at home, or on the go, Hamilton Business Technologies equips your business with the right tools for smooth, professional call handling. Hamilton Business Technologies. Real people, real technology solutions. Learn more at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next opportunity? Nebco is hiring. They're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. They offer competitive wages, great benefits, service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Apply today at nebco.com. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for the Nebco shop. Learn more at nebco.com. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at nebco.com.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
MHC isn't new, just a new name. Mo's Moving is now Mo's Home and Commercial. Whether moving across town or across the state, MHC Moving has you covered, specializing in home, apartments, assisted, and independent living moves. MHC can also handle your commercial moves as well. There's never fees on trucks, stairs, elevators, long carry, and last-minute booking, and no trip or fuel charges. Also, no upcharge on weekends, and they do offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Have you been injured in
The Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back for the final segment of Ticket Weeknights. Tristan Gomez, Harrison Arens. If you want to text in, 402-464-5685. A little NBA talk to finish it up. The NBA 2K26 cover is now out. The few different covers. Little odd, in my opinion. Harrison, what are your thoughts?
Terrible.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's not all just because the one name we'll get to that's on the cover. Also, just feels like they're just losing creativity in those. I used to really enjoy 2K. Like I played it all the time growing up. It's how I memorized like all the rosters when I was a little kid, just playing that. But I mean, they're literally just taking pictures, like a still shot picture, and there's no work on it.
Yeah.
Like it's just looks like a picture I took with my iPhone and then just slapped 2K25 or 2K26 above it. So there's that part. I don't know why the art continues to get worse for these covers, and 2K seems to take steps backwards all the time. The other one is just the names they selected. And who do you think? I mean, SGA for the guys.
Yeah.
On the NBA 2K, just the standard cover. I think that one's fair. Okay. Then the WNBA edition. And this is not about to be like, let's just bash on Angel Reese. This is going to be bash on whoever decided this. Angel Reese is the cover for the WNBA edition. And my whole point was I wasn't expecting Caitlin Clark either.
Yeah.
I definitely wasn't expecting Angel Reese. Maybe put Wilson on there.
Yeah.
Maybe take the best player. I mean, if you go with the model of SGA is representing the men's cover, why would Angel Reese represent on the women's cover?
Yeah.
It makes no sense. And, people notice. And unfortunately, like, you're going to just hear a bunch of nasty things because you made a silly decision that some people don't like Angel Reese for foolish reasons, and other people have a legitimate criticism on this. It's like, is it that big of a deal? No. Is it the same game? Yeah. But what are you doing with the marketing? I get so confused by those guys all the time. Like, you have champions. You have other young stars that are popular. If you're trying to get more noise for the other players, Angel Reese has got a good following already. she does well for herself in terms of how many fans she has. Now, she's got a lot of haters too, but so does Caitlin Clark. Got a lot of fans, a lot of haters. I just don't understand the move at all. And then if you want to get the Legends edition, it's got Carmelo Anthony. So there's always that one out there. No problems with that. But just the art style on these just gets worse and worse. It feels like the games get worse and worse. And do you play 2K ever?
I did growing up. I still had I played the 2K14. I think that one had KD on it. Chris Paul as well. And I loved it. I think they were fun because you would watch these and you would see the.
Was that the one with KD, Chris Paul, and Blake Griffin?
Yes, exactly.
That was the best
sick.
one.
Yeah, and it feels like, honestly, it seems like 2K is just getting the same. It's staying the same, and they're not making a whole bunch of adjustments. I feel like with Madden or college football, you'll see a few different adjustments. 2K, it seems like it stays a little bit the same, but I think especially for the WNBA is you have to appreciate the players that have been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
Asia Wilson has been doing it for a while. Sabrina Ionescu has kind of established herself in the league. I think there's a few different players that really have maybe earned that spot or, that publicity, and they just haven't got it. So I think it would be cool to maybe get someone who's maybe won a championship on there before we start putting, these young stars. But
it's not that
up.
She can't ever be on it.
Yeah.
Just like maybe a little bit too soon on there. Or I just want to know what was the rationale behind that one. That's all I got to wrap up there. Just interesting. Like I said, people are still going to buy it. Is it that big of a deal? Is it worth getting mad over? No, but just bizarre. Just bizarre that the marketing always seems to be a few steps up behind or just a little bit off the page. And it's bummer because I think we're all at a point where we want to see the WNBA grow and excel. But they got to nail this marketing stuff down. Like you're in a sweet spot where you can really blow this thing up. You can also kind of diminish it all at the same time here. So with that being said, that's going to wrap it up for Harrison Arens, myself, and then Tristan Gomez joining me for this hour. We'll still get plenty here. I think the Royals should be wrapping up, so we'll be back live on the brick and mortar. Best of the tickets still coming your way.
Today at nebco.com.
MHC isn't new, just a new name. Moe's Moving is now Moe's Home and Commercial. Whether moving across town or across the state, MHC Moving has you covered, specializing in home, apartment, assisted, and independent living moves. MHC can also handle your commercial moves as well. There's never fees on trucks, stairs, elevators, long carry, and last-minute booking, and no trip or fuel charges. Also no upcharge on weekends, and they do offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
We interrupt this commercial break for an important story.
There once was a man from Nebraska who went searching for food in Alaska. When his stomach was rumbling while laying in bed, he could think of only one option, Führer's cheese spread. So he left it once and drove day and night to return back home for cheese spread delight. Now his stomach is full and the voice in his head tells him no more vacations without Führer's cheese spread. Find yours today at most local grocers.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2. Attention all Wings fans, Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Monday.